Do you truly control your business processes for real? In the past, data analytics was always very KPI minded. Active process intelligence basically means that you have encountered information out of what you would like to derive actions. My name is Jan. I'm a business development engineer with Mehrwerk. I'm very happy to welcome you today to our ValueStory Mehrwerk Process Mining webinar series, covering today ValueStory about finance and controlling. What we are pretty fond of, we have in this case 4 actual customer use cases where we are allowed to share actual numbers, what we have achieved. On one hand, the Ströer Group in Germany that are looking into the accounts payable process. What did we achieve within the Ströer Group? Ströer Group was quite an unusual case because they decided for the market leading competitor and the project failed after only a few weeks, and they basically called us. The basic outcome, where we targeted to was about FTE, so full-time equivalent. They wanted to save time. They wanted to really free up resources that they have and not focus on problematic or issues. The FTE deployment is then basically coming towards reworks. So where along the process chain do I have duplicate touches with my process? Basically, and that sounds quite a thing, but we measured it together with the client, 97% of about 700K billing processes, we found optimization potentials. Then we have a German pharmaceutical company where we looked into the invoice to cash process. The first results were coming in at 12 weeks, and they had really issues with delayed billing and unblocking of invoices and increased invoice clearing. So delayed billing, they delivered, and then they were not putting a bill out to the client. What we were able to, with the analysis and benchmarking capabilities also from the shared service centers, is that we identified directly where the root causes were lying. So we directly identified and could pinpoint where the issue for a delay was lying, and then there were actions identified and actions initiated to do that. Same with the unblocking of invoices. We saw a significant delay, and with the help of automatical unblocking due to several rules that we have implemented, we were streamlining, standardizing the whole billing process in this case. Then healthcare provider, order to cash, the streamlining of the creation in invoice process creation, the days of sales outstanding. We had a quite similar issue there, that it got obvious that the days of sales outstanding were far too long. And with the help of process mining, we could automatically see where the days of sales outstanding were coming from and then reduce them by 80%. German production automation provider. I hope everyone is familiar with the terminology of maverick buying. Maverick buying is basically that you are not involving a purchasing department with the purchase itself. So what they were doing maverick buying analysis for many years already in a classical data analytics approach. But what is a very difficult approach with the classical data analytics is what is with invoices that you receive very short after the creation of the purchase order. So if there was not enough time in between that it is a sensible purchase order, then we clarified as maverick buying. And with that possibility, we freed up maverick buying general potential of 22 million euros by year. The client said out of that 22 million possible to avoid is now approximately more than 1.1 million euros just with that refinement of the already existing and long-lasting KPI. Here you see, I would say, state-of-the-art finance and controlling dashboard. And still, this is very accurate because if you're looking at numbers day in, day out, you can very much still interpret them and work with them. But it's the outcome-related view. Of course, we still keep the data analytics side, because you still need very high-level KPIs where you get an idea of what you're looking at. And then if something is changing, then you must look into the underlying process steps. And those underlying process steps get automatically extracted and then interpreted. This is absolutely where the normal analysis would reach the limit, because you cannot say out of which root cause the KPI was changing. And how is it that we are doing it? We are basically going through the entire IT landscape and collecting all of the data points that are feeding this special process. And through the algorithms we are having in Mehrwerk process mining, we are then able to not only extract a table that holds all of that information and brings it all together, but also have a process map. And now we're having informations about quantity, time lost, and what is the previous process step, next process step, and so on. And with this information now, we can now proactively come into game, yeah, because what we had before is absolutely silo of systems. And with that end-to-end view now that you have integrated in one solution, you have the capability to have a clear process transparency. And out of that transparency, we are extracting those patterns and then proactively trigger actions, and then having different capabilities of executing it, as we are calling it. We are offering an npm execution suite, and this suite holds different modules. Those modules we will see in the live demo. I gave a very brief overview of what is process mining. Yeah, I've talked about these signal process steps that you're interacting with the source system, and exactly those process steps we are now extracting and posing here on the so-called process analyzer. Yeah, and as you can see, the process analyzer and the whole Mehrwerk process mining dashboard is not only holding process-related information, but also classical KPI-related information. This is explorative. This is basic process mining. But now we really want to go to the action it. So what are we having here? Open processes. We are doing process monitoring. So which processes are still pending somewhere within our system and are inactive for quite a while? And I've seen an interesting one before. So I want to look at specifically that case. And that specific case is now showing me several things. I have here a case that is inactive for quite some days, but what the system and what Mehrwerk process mining is now pushing out is that processes that had this pattern before are getting quite complicated at some point. Yeah, so vendor creates debit memo, vendor creates invoice, and so on, will result very likely, and that is the root cause, a pattern that we encountered. And with advanced analytics integration, we do a prediction. Yeah, and our system predicts that there will be a records goods receipt, invoice receipt, and then remove payment block, cancel invoice receipt, and so on. And not nice and not lean process. What we can do now is, of course, automatically trigger an alert that tells me, hey, this is inactive. Yeah, and we do this by creating just an alert. I can add a measure, overdue or something. Next activity is overdue monitoring. Then we say we do it by case ID, yeah, because by case ID in this case is the purchase order. And then we have also the preview already that tells me, oh yeah, this is the number. And as soon as I do it now, 400, as soon as I have more than 400 days overdue, I want to get alerted with this pattern that I've now encountered. And of course, I can distribute it to me or my colleagues. But the next step of the alerting, if you see the execution suite from before, would then be, of course, this automatic triggering of an action into a third-party tool, into a backend system. And what I now do, of course, manually, will be then done automatically by a reload of the data. What can we do now? Yeah, this is not just like the alert like before, but in this case, I can really distinguish and really pinpoint the information where to send it. And of course, then also what action needs to be taken. I can say what is the correct number of inactive days, then how many messages I want to get. Then I say I want to have an email and This is, in this case, the third-party tool that we are sending it to. It's, in this case, Teams, so Microsoft Teams. So I now execute it, and now this information gets calculated throughout the data from this application, and then automatically triggered. Show you my Teams interface. Yeah, and you see here the technical user at 15:1 to send me that information in this case. And the last active process was record invoice received, and so on. User whatsoever, take action. But it can push also without informing everyone into backend systems like SAP. And how does that all work? So this is the iPaaS no-code, low-code integration platform that we have embedded here. And so you see here, there are certain variables that I have put into from the interface I had before, where I said, I want to have this department, how many messages, and so on. And then you have so-called blocks. With those blocks, you can really action and trigger whatsoever that you want in the third-party tool. When I scroll down here, you have a numerous number of different blocks where you can directly interact.